Since Donald Trump lost his immunity with the inauguration of Joe Biden, the former US president has been in dire straits. 29 preliminary investigations are pending against the Republican. The Washington Post speaks of a historical vulnerability before the law. After the US election, Trump prepared himself for this wave of proceedings. Donald Trump has raised more than $31 million since November 3rd, mainly through donations to his political lobby group Save America. This money could benefit him especially with regard to pending litigation and legal costs. But research, especially by the New York Times, has shown that Donald Trump's fortune is not only finite, it's also recorded heavy losses during the presidency. Donald Trump's financial records are now open to investigators, and further lawsuits are constantly following. Trump already has a lot of experience with these. He was involved in more than 3,500 legal matters before his candidacy 5 years ago, as USA Today found out. Often, however, it was Trump himself or his companies who took legal action against someone or something and overwhelmed them with legal costs. Now the tide seems to have turned. Michael D'Antonio wrote a biography about Donald Trump in 2015. His fortune, or the appraisal of his fortune, would have meant that there were no legal problems for someone on his level, he explains to the Washington Post. At least not in the way ordinary people think about it. Trump has always had something against his opponents. He could, for example, refuse donations, cause negative reports, or initiate a counterclaim. But today, according to D'Antonio, Donald Trump has nothing more to offer. In return, however, there's every incentive to destroy him. The lawsuits also come at an extremely inopportune time. Mainly because of the corona pandemic, but also because of the storming of the Capitol on January 6th, Trump's company went downhill economically. Several fashion retailers want to leave Trump Tower in Manhattan or have stopped paying rent. Cyrus Vance Jr., who heads the investigation in New York State, has a key advantage that his predecessors couldn't. He has access to the ex-president's tax records. Donald Trump has never been examined so meticulously, claims his former lawyer Michael Cohen, who testifies against the Republican and is in contact with the chief investigator. A proctological investigation at the highest level, he describes the situation. Cohen had sued Trump himself. His former client is said to owe him legal fees of around $3 million. And here's some of the investigations against Donald Trump at a glance. Only a few, not all of them. In New York, Donald Trump is suspected of manipulating the value of a property in order to obtain tax breaks. In addition, Trump is said to have provided false information about assets and debts in order to benefit from advantageous credit conditions or tax breaks. His CFO Alan Weisselberg and his son Eric Trump have already had to testify. 2 women have sued Donald Trump for defamation. He is said to have sexually abused them before his term in office and to have referred to them as liars after the allegations. Tenants also wanted to sue Donald Trump for illegally increasing the rent with the help of a bogus company and generating millions. The Secret Service at the White House did not want to accept the court documents. The delivery man handed them over anyway and then fled quickly, claims Gerald Parker, lawyer for the plaintiffs. And if you imagine that scene, it would be fun. And in Georgia, Donald Trump is said to have called the election officer after the US election and asked to find enough votes for him to prevail against Joe Biden in this state. The Fulton County District Attorney's Office is investigating. And in Michigan, Donald Trump allegedly violated the Voting Rights Act when he asked the Republican-run electoral authority in the state not to certify the result. An organization for citizens' rights has filed a lawsuit. And in the District of Columbia, Donald Trump is suspected of inciting his supporters to forcibly storm the Capitol on January 6th, when the electoral vote was held. The Democratic Congressman Benny Thompson and Eric Swalwell have each filed a civil lawsuit against Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and two right-wing extremist groups, citing the Ku Klux Klan Act. The then US president is said to have intimidated politicians and thus hindered them in their official business. And some more from the country as a whole. The Justice Department is investigating the January 6th riots in the Capitol and possibly Donald Trump's role. Of the 29 preliminary investigations, 18 have to do with disputes over his real estate. For example, there are said to have been bedbugs in his Las Vegas hotel. The Trump Hotel in Chicago is accused of pumping water from the river without authorization. Many of his attorneys who were involved in these proceedings stopped working with Donald Trump after the Capitol riot. Possibly illicit business practices were exposed while he was still in office. Criminal charges have not yet been filed against Donald Trump, but things are not looking good for him, including in terms of his political career. Alan Lichtman, a political historian at the American University in Washington, D.C., believes that a new candidacy in 2024 is unlikely. There are simply too many other problems that Trump has to deal with, he claims to the Miami Herald newspaper. In addition to the 29 procedures, more than $400 million in loan debt will also fall due. In addition, his companies and the Trump brand are now doomed to failure. Lichtman assumes that Donald Trump will remain politically active and in attack mode. He could give the appearance of another candidacy, but the circumstances make it extremely unlikely. Nevertheless, Trumpism will accompany the USA for years to come. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel. Auf Wiedersehen.